Okay, welcome back to Truckers FCs. This is episode number 36. In this episode, we'll be going over week 6 of the Lease Operator Program at Night Transportation. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. Every week, I'll show what loads I take, what my expenses were, what my revenue was, and what my net cash flow was, and I'll compile all of this information and put it into a spreadsheet that I'll share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. But for week 6, we start on the West Coast and we end up in Texas. So last episode, we left off in Portland, Oregon, and we got dispatched on a load picking up in Albany, Oregon, and headed to Sparks, Nevada. So let's go. Okay, so we dropped the load in Sparks, Nevada. Then we got dispatched on another one picking up in McCarran, Nevada, which is just down the road. And we're headed to Victorville, California. Let's go. So we dropped the load earlier in Victorville, California. Then we got dispatched on another one going from Mira Loma, California to Ogden, Utah. Let's go. Whoops. Yeah, so I didn't realize this when I was backing out, but it was stacked on its wheels with no bottom. So it was literally on its wheels. Okay, yeah, so as I was backing that one up, had a toolbox fall out, pretty big one actually. When I look back on it though, the toolbox was stacked on its wheels and there wasn't a bottom on it. And I couldn't see that when I originally opened the doors. So yeah, that was a problem because it just sort of rolled right off. And as I was driving up here to Ogden, it was definitely rolling around as well because there wasn't a bottom. It seems to be a return or something like that, and they just didn't put a bottom on it. So it was on its wheels, and yeah, it was kind of always destined to fall out because it was on its wheels, and I didn't realize that. So had it had a bottom and it wasn't on its wheels, I don't think it would have fallen out, but because it was on its wheels, it fell out. Whoops. Alright, so we're done out here in Ogden, Utah. We just did a live unload at a Home Depot, and now we're grabbing another one over in Ogden, Utah. It's a drop and hook, and we're headed to Cheyenne, Wyoming. Let's go. To Wilmer, Texas, actually. So the Cheyenne load ended up getting canceled because there was a winter storm, and we just weren't going to be able to take it. So instead of Cheyenne, Wyoming, we're now headed to Wilmer, Texas. However, because the Wilmer, Texas load is a lot longer than the Cheyenne load, it will not make this paycheck. So with that being said, it's spreadsheet time. For week 6, we did 3 loads, and in those 3 loads, we got 1,748 miles, and we were paid a total of $2,995 for an average of $1.71 per mile. We fueled up 5 times, and in those 5 times, we paid $1,566 for an average of 90 cents per mile. There were no maintenance issues this week. Other expenses, we paid $87.40 for the MRP, Qualcomm $13, Bobtail $6.92, physical damage $69, occupational accident policy $34, permits and deductions $42, pre-pass $350, truck payment $450. We did not have any scales this week. Fuel mile tax $52.44, and the security deposit was $100. That brings total other expenses to $859 for an average of 49 cents per mile. So week totals, this week we spent a total of $2,425 on expenses for an average of $1.39 per mile. Revenue was $2,995 for an average of $1.71 per mile, bringing our net settlement to $569 for an average of 33 cents per mile. So that was for week 6. For the total since we started the program, we've spent a total of $14,149 on expenses for an average of $1.18 per mile. And that is my cost per mile right there. We've earned a total of $21,273 for an average of $1.77 per mile. And our overall net cash flow was $7,123 for an average of 59 cents per mile. Averages and other information, so our average weekly paycheck is $1,187. Average weekly miles is 2,001 miles. Spent a total of $7,560 on fuel for an average of 63 cents per mile. Total maintenance cost is $1,988 for an average of 17 cents per mile. If we kept this up for a 52-week period, we'd be paid $61,737, and we'd get a total of 104,069 miles. We've been employed 42 days for 6 weeks. We've taken 6 days off and had 36 days on duty. Total loads, 23 total loads, and an average load length of 522 miles. Okay, so there's week 6. There's a big caveat here though. The Wilmer, Texas load was about 1,300 miles, and almost the entire load was done on this week, but it'll actually hit next week's paycheck. So, yeah, so there should be more like 1,000 miles on this paycheck here, but it's just not going to be on this paycheck, so it's another pretty terrible paycheck. But next week will be juiced, and I'm filming this actually the next week, and I can tell you it's going to be quite a few miles. I think we're going to get close to 4,000 miles if you put that Wilmer Texas load on this week's paycheck. So just a note there. This week should, in reality, have about another 1,000 miles or so on it, but because of the Wilmer load not hitting his paycheck, next week will be juiced. So just a note there. Another note, pretty high fuel costs this week. I mean, we were at 90 cents per mile, which is quite high. I don't think that's normal, so we must have had maybe this one get kind of tacked onto this paycheck or something. Not 100% sure. Or, actually, it's probably these two. It's probably these two right here. Those are probably the Wilmer loads, but because the Wilmer load didn't pay out, that's probably why it's real high. But yeah, this is quite high as well. Yeah, so obviously 33 cents per mile is abysmal and awful, but you do have to take a step back. Right now, making 59 cents per mile, which is not good considering the risk you're taking. But again, we have about 1,000 miles on here that weren't counted. So if you count that, it'll definitely bump it up. And there's high maintenance costs right now. So 17 cents per mile is quite high. So just a note there. Yeah, so just as a reminder, guys, I mean, I'm not bragging about this. I'm not necessarily ashamed either. I'm just sort of posting my numbers for everyone to see, and you guys can be the judge whether it's worth it or not. So yeah, just to reiterate, not bragging and not necessarily ashamed. I'm just simply posting the numbers for you guys to see. So there they are. And so far, the numbers are 59 cents per mile. So some of the other things to note here, I see some comments on there about insurance, and insurance is on here. So you only pay for bobtail insurance at Night Transportation. So that's it. So the actual insurance for the trailer and everything that you would normally get if you were an independent guy, I'm not paying that, so I'm not paying that. And also the maintenance expenses. So Night Transportation does cover a lot of your maintenance costs. So when I had these tires done, they covered some of it. I didn't get an actual receipt for that because that was actually before I was even in the program, so they didn't give me a receipt. I should have asked for one, but some of the maintenance costs on that were covered as well. And I intend to do a video on what the Night Transportation maintenance I guess bonuses or helpers, whatever you want to call it, are, what this MRP basically covers here or helps pay for, but I just haven't had the time. So I intend to do that, but just a note there, this MRP does cover a lot of maintenance costs that I need to do, and I haven't yet broken it down, but that's coming. I just haven't had the time to do it. So yeah, just a note there. Yeah, so there's week 6. Again, for I guess the third week in a row, not a very good week, but we did have about over 1,000 miles on this paycheck that were on this week that wasn't on the paycheck. So next week will be juiced, and I think by next week we should start to get a pretty clear picture of what the overall is going to be here. So yeah, we'll see what that week 7 looks like. But yeah, but that will do it for this episode. If you are interested in truck driving, there's a link in the comment section down below. Just click that link, fill out your information, and the driver recruiter will get a hold of you. And if you're interested in this spreadsheet or any of the other spreadsheets I've done in the past, they are available in the About section down below. You can click on them, download them, use them however you want, and yeah, feel free to do so. But that will do it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.